Are you facing a communication issue at work? Communication is so critical to the health and well-being of everyone on your team. So in today's session, we're going to take a deep dive into communication as it relates to each of the 9 personality types on the Enneagram. We're going to address not only your strengths, but the challenges you face as a communicator, and then wrap up by talking about the way each one of us can grow and develop as communicators and be more effective and build a greater sense of camaraderie, boost morale and motivation in a team or in one-on-one situations when we are communicating. So let's start out with the strengths. First of all, the one is the reformer, someone who's always trying to improve things. Well, as a communicator, your strengths center around the fact that you can be extremely cordial and polite and very poised in the way that you present yourself. You're typically very honest and thoughtful, and your opinions are very well formulated. That is a real strength, to have the ability to well formulate your ideas and opinions. So lean into that. That will not only play off your strong confidence and your poise as a communicator, but the fact that you are so polished in your thought-making process is very well respected. If you are the 2, you are the giver-helper. You are trying to assist others and make the world, a better place. So you tend to listen very carefully, offer a lot of support and assistance. You tend to be very relational. You want to relate to that person as you are communicating with them. So you tend to be very compassionate and tend to ask a lot of questions. So think about that ability to be relational, to relate to others. So many times in communications, there's this big disconnect because people aren't really relating. They're not really trying to understand another person. And the giver-helper has that really incredible gift. The 3 is the achiever. You come across as very confident, clear, concrete. And you can be very solution-oriented, but your focus on efficiency can lead you to be very straightforward. So your communication style can be rather, succinct and very action-oriented, because you want to concretize these communications. You just don't want to keep stirring the pot and talking about ideas and feelings and thoughts. You want to get to the action orientation. So really use that ability to be a problem solver or a solution-oriented communicator to outline the solutions that you see and the steps forward. If you are a 4, you are the romantic. So you tend to be very deep and very intense. And you are looking to establish this kind of emotional connection and resonance that, sometimes doesn't happen. And it's really great, the fact that you don't want to just skim the surface and be superficial, that you really want to be empathic and curious. So really lean into the fact that, you want that connection, and you don't want it to be at this surface level. You want to go deep enough that you get to the heart of the matter. Now, the 5 is the observer. So you tend to be very respectful in your communications. You can be very stimulating and interesting. You can sometimes be subtly amused by people. So that can be kind of a nice lightness to the observer. And you're not intrusive. You don't tend to ask questions where you think you might be treading on too personal personal topics or personal information, and you're highly observant. So really use that as a strength, that ability to gauge whether, it's appropriate to intrude. That non-intrusive quality, that observant quality, it really serves you well. If you're a 6, the loyalist, you have this ability to be rather serious and questioning, but you also can be very complex and inviting, and even a little witty and ironic at times, which can really serve you well. So I encourage you to use that wit and that sense of irony to lighten things up, create a sense of levity with the team. That can be a really great strength. If you're a 7, you're the enthusiast. So you tend to communicate in this lighthearted, very fast-paced, talkative, engaging style. And you tell very exciting stories. And you keep people upbeat. So if you are the 7, really lean into the fact that you can keep people enthusiastic and upbeat. That is a great strength. A lot of times teams, they get, really bogged down by negativity or tensions. And your ability to keep everyone just moving forward enthusiastically is a really incredible strength. And then if you are the 8, you are the challenger. So you tend to be very candid, very direct, very straightforward. You are authoritative. You have that commanding presence. And you tend to move things into action. So as a communicator, that ability to be direct really serves you well. Sometimes we just need to cut to the chase. Let's just figure it out. Let's just make a decision. Let's just build consensus. Let's just take a vote. So the challenger has that incredible gift of directness. And then if you're a 9, the peacemaker, you have that ability to be very relaxed, very open, very supportive, very affirming, and you establish rapport very readily. So think about your ability to be supportive, because sometimes in a conversation, people don't feel supported. Sometimes when you're in a group, tensions tend to flare up a little bit because there are differences of opinion. But the peacemaker has that incredible gift of being supportive, of helping others build consensus and collaborating. So those are really all incredible strengths that all 9 types have, and you can learn from every type on the Enneagram. Even though you lean towards one particular type, that doesn't mean that you don't have some of the characteristics and attributes of the other types, and that you can't lean into some of the greatest strengths of all of the 9 types. The strategy as a child was just to kind of lean towards one personality because it was serving you well. But, as healthy individuals and fully integrated human beings, we really take on aspects of all of the 9 types. Now, in terms of challenges, let's look at the heart of the matter here and figure out where the downfalls can happen. So the 1, the reformer, can get easily irritated, can use judgmental words like should and ought, may be opinionated, and may even visibly display displeasure. So you are trying to improve things. You are trying to be 100% accurate. You are the great reformer, but really try and avoid shoulds and oughts. And try to watch your body language so that you don't make others feel that they are disliked or that they are disdained, or that you are overly irritated with them. That won't serve you well, because people will start to shut down. They'll feel embarrassed. They might feel humiliated. They might feel disliked by you. They may feel judged by you. So step back and Lean into that cordial and politeness that can happen for the 1. For the 2, sometimes, oddly enough, you can be either too indirect or too direct. So you have to watch that tendency to be too direct or too indirect. And sometimes, because you're so tempted to help everybody and be so supportive, you can get tired out. You can get upset. You can start to complain. You want to vent. You might get angry. You might get pissed off. You might start to offer unsolicited advice. But lean into what you do so well. Offer assistance and ask questions. Try and relate to others. And don't overextend to that point where you get so irritated and angry because you don't feel supported or appreciated. If you're the 3, the achiever, you tend to get impatient with lengthy discourse or emotional expressions and exchanges. And sometimes you get angry when you're frustrated, and sometimes you don't really fully disclose what you're really thinking. So as the achiever, just think about that. Watch your inability to listen to people explain something in depth. You need to understand it. Be more attentive and accepting of people who are more emotional and expressive. And really, watch that temper or that tendency to not disclose, to hide something, to hold back or refrain from what you're really thinking or feeling. For the 4, you can come across, you are the individualist as being overly intense. You can be moody, you can be remote. You can redirect conversations back to yourself. I, me, mine. Honestly, you're working with a team. No one really wants to hear I, me, mine. They want to hear we, ours, and come up with a collaborative way forward. Lower that intensity, lower that temperature. If you're the 5, you're the observer. So sometimes your challenge is that you're reluctant to share personal information or your feelings. You start to really try and control your speech and your body language, and you can be very brief. You can come across as kind of curt and succinct, but you're not really sharing what you really think. People want to know you. They want to know your feelings. They want to know your feelings and opinions, and they want to feel like you relate to them. But that level of control can be very off-putting at times. So really watch that tendency. And then for the 6, the loyalists, sometimes you're overly reactive in responses. You can start to have this kind of excessive and skeptical questioning of people. So they tell you something, and then your first response is to start to question it. It really, kind of takes people aback. They don't know what to do or what to say. They start to feel like you're judging them and you're criticizing them. You're investigating them. You're doubting them. You're doubting the veracity of what they're saying. So that can lead to you being, kind of easily agitated or even coming across as angry. So really watch that tendency to be overly and excessively skeptical of others and questioning everything that they say. If you're the 7, you're the enthusiast. But your enthusiasm sometimes leads to these very, very long stories. So keep in mind beginning, middle, end. What's the point? What are you trying to relate to everyone? Does the story tie in with what someone has just told you? Sometimes it's hard to follow you. You're not very linear. And sometimes you get distracted. So you start talking really fast and you get distracted and people aren't following you. So really watch that ability to lead people through something in a linear fashion. If you're an 8, you can come across as rather commanding and demanding, challenging others. Um, at worst, you can be dismissive and you can become angry quickly. Now, the last thing you want to do, challenger, is shame someone. Shame, embarrassment, humiliation. Those things stay with people for a long time and will distance someone from you. And so really watch that tendency. It's great to have that commanding presence and to be challenging and take the team to the highest level. But if they feel like you are just dismissing them or disregarding their ideas and thoughts, they may shut you out. And then the 9, peacemaker, low expression of feeling. There's no intensity, there's no modality, there's no voice. You're not sharing your opinions, your perspectives, your ideas. Everything feels very ambiguous. We can't figure out who you are, where you're coming from, what you think. Remember, you have a voice. As the peacemaker, even though you care about reaching consensus with others and harmonizing, you have a voice. So, now let's just talk for a moment about how we can grow and develop as communicators. For the 1, focus in on body language. Become aware of your body language and the message you communicate through your nonverbal behavior. If you're a 2, the giver-helper, maintain a clear boundary between you and the other person and express your feelings more directly. If you're a 3, listen to others longer so that they feel heard and express yourself in a really genuine way. They will get you. They will come to know you. For a 4, de-intensify your need for deep connectivity with everyone. Reduce that self-referencing in your words and stories. 5, ask more questions, share more personal information, and worry less about intruding on others. 6, question others' motives less. Breathe before you react too quickly, and trust your own insights more. For the 7, listen until others have completely finished what they are saying, tell fewer stories, and ask more questions. 8, listen even to those whom you don't respect. Explain your thinking and instinctual reactions more fully and clearly. And 9, you have a voice, so share your feelings, share your thoughts, and don't just go along to get along. Don't just keep nodding your head, yes, I understand. Express yourself, express your opinion, express your voice. So I hope you have gained some insights from today's session on communication. Really focus this week on your team, how you can build a better team by understanding your own communication strengths and weaknesses and challenges, and how you can grow as a person in trying to understand others and be a better listener, be a more observant person, ask more questions, demonstrate more enthusiasm, tell stories that will relate to others, demonstrate empathy and compassion. All of these attributes from all of the 9 types and their particular strengths will serve you well. So thank you so much for subscribing to our channel on Enneagram and team building. Aperture Advisory offers staff training workshops and individual coaching sessions. And we are deeply committed to bringing life lessons that you can incorporate into your world of work. Thank you for listening.